Welcome to our deep dive, everyone. You sent us this fascinating YouTube video about the Silva method, and I have to admit, I'm really curious. Have you ever felt like you're only using a tiny fraction of your mental potential? Well, the Silva method claims to unlock those hidden abilities through a fascinating blend of relaxation and visualization and affirmations.
Yeah, it was really interesting because, the method itself isn't some sort of new age invention. It actually came from a father's quest to help his children do better in school. The creator, Jose Silva, he had an incredible journey, starting with no formal education, but he became a self-made businessman. And then he kind of delved deep into mind research.
His story really caught my attention,
Yeah.
especially that part about how he discovered his daughter Isabel's, apparent clairvoyance.
Yeah.
Can you imagine your child reciting poetry before you even read the lines? That must have sparked some serious curiosity about the power of the mind.
Oh, absolutely. And this discovery led him to explore what's called the alpha brainwave state, which is linked to relaxation and enhanced mental capabilities. He believed that by training ourselves to access this alpha level, we could tap into extraordinary mental powers, like turning your brain into this powerful receiver for information beyond your usual senses.
So it's not just about improving memory or focus,
Yeah.
but about potentially unlocking a whole new level of awareness and ability.
Exactly. And it all starts with three core elements: desire, belief, and expectancy. Silva believed that these feelings, they weren't just some feel-good fluff, they actually generate real energy for change.
I can see how this could apply to so many areas of life. From boosting creativity to overcoming challenges, it's like giving your mind a powerful boost. But how do you actually access this alpha state?
Well, the Silva method provides a whole toolbox of techniques. One of the more intriguing ones is the number association technique.
Okay, I'll admit, when I first heard that, I thought of numerology.
Yeah.
But this is something completely different.
You're right, it's not about mystical meanings behind numbers. It's more about using numbers as mental anchors to guide yourself into deeper states of consciousness. You associate the numbers 1 through 6 with progressively deeper states of relaxation, with the alpha level being that sweet spot at number 1.
Okay, so it's like a mental staircase, leading you down to a more relaxed, receptive state of mind. I can see how that could be helpful for calming your nerves or even preparing for a challenging task.
Precisely. And once you're in that relaxed alpha state, the Silva method suggests using affirmations, repeating positive statements like, I am now learning to use more of my mind. The idea is that this can reprogram your subconscious mind for success, replacing limiting beliefs with empowering ones. So what stands out to you so far?
Well, I am really intrigued by this idea of consciously shifting your mental state. Using a technique like the number association, it seems so practical. But I also wonder, what about those times when you're bombarded by negative thoughts? Can the Silva method help with that too?
Absolutely. Silva recognized that those nagging negative thoughts that we all experience, those can be a major roadblock. He developed a technique called mental house cleaning to address this, which is all about becoming aware of those negative thought patterns and consciously interrupting them.
So you're not just trying to suppress negative thoughts, but to actively shift your focus to more positive ones.
Exactly. They use this phrase, cancel, to sort of break the loop of negative thinking.
Cancel, cancel. It's like hitting the delete key on a mental typo. So you become more aware of those negative thought patterns and then consciously choose to replace them with more positive and constructive ones.
That's the essence of it. For instance, instead of dwelling on a thought like, I'm terrible at remembering names, you might shift to, I'm learning new techniques to improve my memory.
This reminds me of something I struggle with, remembering lists. Does the Silva method offer any techniques for boosting memory?
Indeed it does. And they're all based on harnessing the power of visualization. For example, imagine you need to remember a grocery list: milk, eggs, bread. Instead of trying to rote memorize the words, you create a vivid mental picture associating each item with an animal. Perhaps a cow happily sipping a carton of milk, a chicken wearing a crown of eggs, and a bear juggling loaves of bread.
That's hilarious. I can already see those images sticking in my mind. It seems like using humor and vivid imagery could really make a difference in remembering things. But what about bigger challenges, like overcoming bad habits or solving complex problems? Does the Silva method address that as well?
It most certainly does. One of the most unique techniques is called the mirror of the mind, which uses visualization for problem solving and habit control. Picture a full-length mirror with a frame that can change colors.
Okay, I'm visualizing that now. A mirror with a changeable frame. What happens next?
Imagine the frame turning blue to represent the problem you want to address. You would visualize this problem clearly in the blue-framed mirror. Then mentally shift the frame to white, symbolizing the desired solution, and vividly picture the outcome you want to achieve.
So it's like reframing the problem and focusing your mental energy on the solution.
Precisely. And what's interesting is that Silva claimed that once you visualize the problem in the blue frame, you never have to go back to it.
So you're essentially rewriting your mental script, shifting from a problem-focused mindset to a solution-oriented one. That's powerful stuff. But you mentioned that the most intriguing technique is the creation of a mental laboratory. What exactly is that? Sounds a bit like something out of a sci-fi movie.
It does, doesn't it? Essentially, it's a personalized mental space that you construct in your imagination, a place where you can tap into your intuition and work on healing, both for yourself and others. And the best part is it can be anywhere imaginable, from a peaceful forest to a bustling city.
So you're creating a mental sanctuary where you can explore your inner world
Yeah.
and potentially access deeper levels of knowing. Do you furnish this mental space?
Absolutely. You can furnish it however you like, adding a desk, a chair, even filing cabinets that contain infinite knowledge. The point is to create a space that feels comfortable and conducive to accessing your inner wisdom. What kind of mental space would you create?
That's a great question. I'm picturing a cozy cabin in the mountains with a crackling fireplace and a window overlooking a breathtaking vista. But how do you actually use this mental laboratory? Do you work on specific challenges or goals within this space?
Yes, you can. And to make things even more fascinating, Silva suggests inviting counselors into your lab, figures you respect and admire whose judgment you trust. These can be people you know, historical figures, or even fictional characters.
Wait, so I could have a brainstorming session with Albert Einstein in my mental cabin. That's amazing. What's the purpose of inviting these counselors into your mental laboratory?
They act as guides and mentors, offering insights and perspectives to help you work through challenges and tap into your own inner wisdom.
So it's like having a personal board of advisors, available to you anytime within the privacy of your own mind. What types of things would you discuss with your counselors?
That's entirely up to you. You could seek their advice on a specific problem you're facing, explore creative ideas, or even work on healing and personal growth.
This is also fascinating. I'm starting to see how the mental laboratory could be a powerful tool for self-discovery and transformation. But how do you actually connect with your counselors and receive their guidance? Is it like a conversation?
That's a great question, and one we'll explore further as we dive deeper into the specifics of the mental laboratory. Stay tuned, because we've only just begun to explore this fascinating mental playground.
So we've just stepped into this incredible concept of a mental laboratory, a space we can create in our minds to connect with our inner wisdom and even invite mentors or figures we admire for guidance. But how exactly does this interaction with our counselors work? Is it like having a conversation in our heads?
Yeah, it's a fascinating process. You can think of it as like engaging in a dialogue with these figures, seeking their insights and perspectives on, the challenges you're facing or the goals you want to achieve. And the amazing thing is, according to Silva, the answers often come in like unexpected ways, through symbols, feelings, or even sudden bursts of inspiration.
So it's not like they're literally speaking to you,
Yeah.
but more like you're tapping into their wisdom and knowledge on a deeper intuitive level.
Exactly. It's about opening yourself up to receiving guidance from beyond your conscious mind. Now, one of the most intriguing applications of the mental laboratory is in the realm of healing.
Healing. So we're not just talking about mental clarity and problem solving, but also about the potential to positively impact our physical well-being.
Precisely. Silva believed that we all possess an innate ability to promote healing within ourselves and even extend that healing energy to others. And the mental laboratory serves as a powerful space to focus and direct this healing energy.
That's incredible. But how does that actually work? Do you simply visualize yourself or someone else being healed?
Visualization is a key element, yes. Imagine yourself in your mental laboratory, focusing on the specific area of your body or another person's body that needs healing. Picture vibrant healing energy flowing to that area, restoring balance and vitality.
So it's almost like sending positive energy to the person, but in a more focused and intentional way, using the mental laboratory as a conduit.
That's a great way to put it. And while the Silva method doesn't claim to replace conventional medicine, it suggests that this practice can complement and enhance the body's natural healing processes.
I can see how that could be incredibly empowering, especially for people dealing with chronic pain or illness. But how about using the mental laboratory for those everyday challenges we face? Can it help us become better problem solvers?
Absolutely. Let's say you're facing a particularly challenging decision or problem. You can bring that problem into your mental laboratory, clearly defining it and visualizing it in detail.
Okay, I can picture that. bringing the problem into my mental space. What would be the next step?
You then call upon your counselors for guidance, asking them for their insights and suggestions. The key here is to trust your intuition and be open to receiving answers in unexpected ways.
So you're not just logically analyzing the problem, but also tapping into a deeper level of knowing through the guidance of your counselors.
Exactly. Silva believed that the solutions to many of our problems already reside within us, but we need a way to access that inner wisdom, and the mental laboratory, combined with the support of our counselors, provides a framework for doing just that.
That's fascinating. But how do you know if the guidance you're receiving is actually valid? I mean, is there a way to discern between genuine insights and just random thoughts popping into your head?
That's a great question, and one that highlights the importance of discernment. While the mental laboratory encourages intuitive exploration, it's crucial to evaluate the insights you receive through the lens of logic and common sense. Do they align with your values? Do they resonate with your gut feeling? These are important questions to ask yourself.
So it's about finding that balance between intuitive knowing and rational thinking, not just blindly following whatever pops into your mind.
Precisely. It's about integrating both your head and your heart in the decision-making process. Now, one of the most intriguing and perhaps controversial aspects of the Silva method is the concept of ESP, or extrasensory perception.
Yes. The idea of developing psychic abilities like clairvoyance, telepathy, and even precognition. I have to admit, this part really piqued my curiosity, although I'm also approaching it with a healthy dose of skepticism.
Mhm.
How does the Silva method address the development of these abilities?
Well, Silva believed that by training ourselves to access and operate from the alpha brainwave state, we could tap into these latent human potentials, essentially expanding our perception beyond the five senses.
So it's like training your mind to perceive information beyond the physical realm.
Exactly. One technique they suggest involves using visualization and mental projection to connect with another person or gain information about a distant event.
It's almost like sending your mind out on a reconnaissance mission to gather intel, isn't it? What kind of exercises would you do to develop these abilities?
They have some intriguing exercises, for instance, trying to guess the outcome of a coin toss before it happens, or attempting to sense what someone else is thinking. Of course, the scientific evidence supporting ESP is still inconclusive.
I think it's important to acknowledge that while also remaining open to the possibility that there are things about the human mind and consciousness that we haven't fully grasped yet.
I agree. And whether or not you subscribe to the idea of psychic abilities, the Silva method offers a fascinating lens through which to explore the untapped potential of the mind.
Absolutely. Even if we set aside the more esoteric claims, the core principles of relaxation, visualization, and positive thinking have practical applications in so many areas of life.
You're right. And what I find particularly appealing is the emphasis on personal responsibility and self-empowerment. It's about recognizing that we have the power to shape our own realities and create positive change.
Right. It's not about passively accepting whatever life throws at us, but about consciously choosing how we respond and taking an active role in creating the life we desire. Now, I recall them mentioning a 5-step program for continuing the Silva Method journey. After listening to the introductory materials, could you remind us what those steps are?
Of course. The first step is attending the Silva Method Basic Lecture Series. This provides a more in-depth exploration of the principles and techniques we've been discussing.
So it's like taking the training wheels off and diving into the deeper waters of the method.
Exactly. The second step is immersing yourself in the world of Jose Silva's work by reading books by and about him. These books delve into a wide range of topics, from healing to personal development, offering a richer understanding of his teachings.
So it's about expanding your knowledge and deepening your understanding of the method and its applications.
Precisely. The third step involves embarking on a 40-day self-training course, designed to strengthen your intuitive and clairvoyant skills.
A 40-day course. That sounds like a commitment. What exactly does this training involve?
It involves daily practice of specific techniques aimed at refining your mental abilities. The idea is that through consistent effort, you can make significant progress in developing these skills.
It's like a mental workout regimen to strengthen your intuitive muscles. And what about the 4th and 5th steps?
The fourth step is incorporating a daily practice of reaching the alpha level, using the countdown technique we discussed earlier. This helps to make accessing the alpha level a regular habit, like brushing your teeth for your mind.
So it's about integrating the core principles of the method into your daily routine.
Exactly. And the fifth step is where it gets really interesting, engaging in what they call subjective communication.
Subjective communication.
Yeah.
I don't recall us discussing that term yet. What exactly does it refer to?
It's essentially about using visualization and mental projection to connect with another person at the alpha level.
So it's like a mental phone call or video chat, but at a deeper level of consciousness.
You could think of it that way. And Silva claimed that this technique could be used for a variety of purposes, from resolving conflicts to sending healing energy to someone in need.
Wow, that's quite a range of applications.
Yeah.
But how does one actually engage in subjective communication? Are there specific techniques or protocols to follow?
That's a great question, and one we'll explore as we move into the final part of our deep dive.
We left off talking about subjective communication, that idea of connecting with others on a deeper level, just using the power of the mind. It sounds a bit like telepathy,
Hmm.
but I'm curious how the Silva method actually approaches this in practice.
It's definitely one of the more fascinating aspects. Subjective communication, like they describe it, involves entering the alpha state and then using visualization and mental projection to connect with another person, almost like a mental dialogue or like an exchange of energy.
So you're not like literally talking to them out loud, but rather connecting on a deeper, maybe subconscious level. Like, what would be some examples of how someone might use subjective communication?
Well, there are a lot of potential applications, like resolving conflicts or offering support and encouragement. Let's say you have a disagreement with a colleague and you want to find a more harmonious resolution. You could use subjective communication to project feelings of understanding and empathy. And that could potentially open up a more receptive space for communication.
So it's almost like sending positive vibes or intentions to someone, but in a more structured and focused manner, using the techniques of the Silva method.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And it's not limited to just interpersonal relationships. Silva also suggested that subjective communication could be used to address larger scale issues, like contributing to world peace or environmental healing.
Wow, that's a powerful concept. But I can also see how some people might be skeptical about this idea of subjective communication, especially the notion that, like, our thoughts and intentions can have such a tangible impact on the world.
Skepticism is understandable, especially when you're dealing with concepts that kind of extend beyond our current scientific understanding. However, the Silva method encourages us to remain open to the possibility that our minds have a greater influence than we realize.
You know, it's fascinating to consider. I think throughout our deep dive, we've encountered this intriguing blend of science and spirituality within the Silva method. On one hand, you have techniques rooted in brainwave states and the physiological benefits of relaxation. But then on the other hand, you have concepts like ESP and subjective communication that delves into more like mystical territory.
It's a unique combination for sure. The Silva method seems to embrace both the scientific and the intuitive, acknowledging that there are aspects of human consciousness and potential that we're still exploring and understanding.
Exactly. And I appreciate that it encourages a spirit of inquiry and experimentation, inviting us to explore these ideas for ourselves and see what resonates. Now, circling back to those 5 steps for continuing the Silva method journey, you mentioned the basic lecture series, reading Jose Silva's books, and the 40-day self-training course. You also talked about the importance of daily alpha practice. Can you elaborate a little on that 4th step and how it plays a role in the overall practice?
Sure. Daily alpha practice is essentially about integrating the core principles of the Silva method into your daily routine. By regularly accessing the alpha state, you're essentially strengthening your mental muscles and making it easier to tap into those heightened states of awareness and creativity.
So it's like establishing a mental fitness routine. Similar to how we might engage in physical exercise to maintain our health and well-being, what would a typical alpha practice session look like?
It can be as simple as taking a few minutes each day to practice that countdown technique we discussed earlier, gently guiding yourself into that relaxed alpha state. You can then use this time for visualization affirmations, or even exploring your mental laboratory.
It sounds like a wonderful way to start or end the day, creating a space for inner peace and connection. Well, we've covered a lot of ground in our deep dive, from the origins of the Silva method to the more esoteric concepts like subjective communication. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up?
I think the key takeaway is that the Silva method, regardless of whether you embrace all of its claims, offers a fascinating and empowering framework for exploring the vast potential of the human mind. It encourages us to view our minds as powerful instruments, capable of influencing our well-being, our relationships, and even the world around us.
That's a beautiful way to sum it up. It's a reminder that we have a choice in how we use our minds, whether we allow them to be consumed by negativity and limitation, or whether we actively cultivate them to become sources of creativity, healing, and positive change.
Exactly. And the journey of self-discovery and exploration doesn't end here. The Silva method simply provides us with some tools and techniques to embark on that journey. The rest is up to us.
That's a wonderful thought to leave our listeners with. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the Silva Method. It's been an incredible exploration, and I'm sure it'll spark many more conversations and discoveries for all of us.